And I will start the video.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, got it?
Yes, you're there.
Thank you. Thanks, ma. Got it. I hope it's there.
Yes, sir, we can see you. How are you?
Nice question, Papal. How many married times I may join Zoom and this every time looks like the first time and I go through. In fact, the FOIAD meeting and the other meeting, I said, I don't know how to do, so I'm not even attending those meetings. Real
Right.
estate meeting going on somewhere. I said,
But sir, you
luckily,
look the same. I remember we met
I
probably
remember
2
this
years
place,
back.
this
Yeah.
hall where you were sitting right behind me in
Yes,
that chair
right.
next to that elephant. I can never forget that.
Yes.
Ma'am also
Yes.
says, where is he nowadays? I said, somewhere in Europe hiding. How are you?
Yes, yes. I will emerge out soon. All because of your blessings. I mean, our bond has been, I mean, it's been close to 7 years now. So,
Easy. You're right.
right.
Right. First time we
Time
then we met
flies.
again. Oh,
2013 was the first time I met you. Yeah.
gosh. What memories were fantastic.
Right.
And unfortunately, yesterday my timing was ulta. My head went the other way. I thought the timing in Pakistan, 1 hour this way. I was walking around in the garden. Then I said, oh, no, it's 4 o'clock. It's 1 hour the other way difference.
Yeah, no problem,
And
sir.
do I know these two people? I'm trying to remember Masood and the Alfiza. Maria, of course, in the picture, and thanks, Matthew. Am I fairly clear on the picture?
Yes, sir, you're absolutely clear and you're quite audible.
Okay,
Masood, sir, he did his post-graduation from MIT and
I see.
he's settled in Boston from quite a few years.
Hmm.
And he's leading the Aga Khan Trust for Culture.
Okay. And now I got you.
Work is more related to heritage conservation, and he has
Hmm.
won several awards from UNESCO Asia Pacific.
It's nice.
Right. But he has been traveling from Pakistan to US to other parts of the world.
Hmm.
Right. But sir,
And
congratulations to you. You
oh,
have
what? Tell me what is the.
so 50 years, 50 years, 1970
Yes,
and 2020 is ended, almost ended.
yes. It's 50 years.
Pressing
We
count
started.
ahead.
Yes, in February, March, we started in 70, 50
1970.
years back,
Right.
and 60 years in the architectural field. Sometimes it's a nice long journey, but
Right.
fascinating journey. Hmm? And you youngsters now are the ruling lot who should take it
It's just
many
a humble
heights.
gratitude.
It's
It's
not
because of
humble.
people like who are, leading the path and who have led the path for so many years as our inspiration. And we are just teeny tiny bits who have just started off.
Especially nowadays with all these things happening, there is so much of positive and negative and excitement and things that you really wonder where we are all going to go in different ways. That's why I liked your subject. Where are we going? Yes,
Yeah, true.
fascinating to run on.
Yeah, it is.
What
It
is
is
your
reason.
what are these topics or generally what you want to cover today? I went read your whole thing in detail. I've sent it to many people. I think many
Right.
people are on Facebook and other YouTube and all
YouTube and
this.
Facebook. Right. So we deliberated a lot about thinking about should we keep it specific, should we keep it quite open ended. But at the end, we just wanted to question how the cooperative practices and the participatory models of design will change. Because if we compare 50s, or rather I should say 60s to 2020, in 1960s there was the best time whereby from individual designer to cooperative practices had begun.
Yes.
And today if we look at it, because of the current situation that we are in, the participatory models of design, we will have to change a bit in terms of how we are going to conceive the cooperative practices. Then at the same time, we wanted the speakers to, reflect upon their previous work and what do they think will change in the upcoming decade. Because if we even if we compare 2010 to 2020, I
Oof.
think things are going to be, we can't even imagine because we have not, unless and until we witness. So under the lens of your previous architectural ventures, we would like you to maybe give some envision about how 2021 may adapt itself.
Good idea. I think you should put it a small dialogue and question and answers some session,
Yes,
which makes
right,
it
we will.
easier to go with each of us rather than go on a monologue. I agree with
True,
you on
true.
this.
Yeah, we
Hmm.
can cross connect the ideas, and
Yes, much,
we will
much,
get
much.
questions from audience from YouTube, Facebook, and from Zoom as well. So
It's
I will
even better
just put
if
up the question.
I agree with you if this entire dialogue is put together and then published or sent across will make a big difference.
Yes, we will definitely do that. It would be really a good a good beginning for the next decade, I believe.
Because this 18th of December, there is this triple ID meeting going on, the national ID meet, all are going on at the same time. The reality fellows are going on at the same
So
time. I said, what's
people will always say, I hijack you, you know.
literally?
Whenever I invite you, you cannot say no. And
I
you
agree.
usually say no to others, and then they are a little uncomfortable about it.
I told them, 18th is very clear. I think, only thing I'm not confused with the timing. So I said, this is beautiful. Only technologically, I said, it's a very fascinating the way, luckily today Wi-Fi worked properly. Otherwise, I had to go
Right.
on to the hotspot and all this. We didn't
Okay.
have to do it. And today it's a bright, nice, bright day. Yesterday was cloudy.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Even today, ironically, it's quite sunny here. Usually it is not. I
Today
mean,
it's
it
very,
is,
where are
yeah.
you actually sitting now?
I am sitting at a city called Dessau, which is 100 kilometers from Berlin,
Okay.
and it
South or
is
north?
11:45 a.m.
Oh, time for
And
lunch.
yes, probably, yeah. But I had early lunch because I knew we are going to have an extensive session today, and yeah, quite interesting. I mean, things have been quite interesting. I have recently also joined as a visiting lecturer at the Bauhaus for the master's students.
Good.
So that is a filler for the time being because we are witnessing a lockdown till 10th of January.
It'll go on. It can't help
So
but in
yeah,
various things.
true.
This
So
is the great lady,
yes, Maria,
Maria. She's frozen. Ah, there she is.
you need to unmute
Can't
yourself,
hear you.
Maria.
Hi, Jasim. Hi, Paper. How both of you?
Hi,
Hello.
Maria. Nice to see you after
Finally,
all long. Finally. Yesterday you caught me in the middle of a walk, middle of a run.
finally, we get to see. Yes,
Gosh,
absolutely. Good to see you.
really wonderful. You really put things together. I was a little thinking this way, that way at my age. He said, this year we finished 50 years plus of practice plus 10 other years in this. So great man was reminding me of
Cool,
various
mashallah.
lectures that I went through. And I'm trying to see whether I remember those two faces also. If they come, I'll remember, try to see. I was asking what you want in this journey of ours.
Okay, and
I'm now sitting in my cottage quiet. I don't think you have visited Kapil when we were building this cottage.
No. When you were building, I didn't visit. I think I visited your earlier office when this was being
Earlier
constructed.
on. That is there. The
Yeah.
office is still there. Here I stay in this cottage. It's quite away, little away from Bangalore, quiet place.
Right.
Full green.
Last year we were there. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I meant. Walked around to the next place. Note, you have the whole world, earth
so
in
will you
front of
be
us.
showing us a presentation?
No, Ma, you said no presentation. You said only talk. I agreed. If you have got any of my global presentations, you're free to use them. You have right to do it because I'm very bad at clicking and all this. Then I would have to ask my assistants to come and help me do that. But you are free to look at the global thing and put it together.
Okay, what do you say, Paper?
Yeah, I think
Google,
Okay,
Fountainhead
he's
in
in
Google
okay.
is
itself.
there.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I thought let
Hey,
us have more a dialogue on this subject. Do you know why? The other day also, the other college which I went, first semester, then the beginning years, when you have a dialogue, you get into it. Whereas when you start showing pictures, people get engrossed. Why did you do that? It becomes more a presentation. I feel this is more philosophical and much more super, which I like the subject is that you're looking at the future through the present and then through our experience. I found that as we grow older. Otherwise, I'm only showing my past, my 50 years. By the time he knows I show my 7,000 slides, my office will deliberately put 7,000 slides. I said, no, put 7. They say, all of us will want to present our projects. Everybody's project has to get. They'll never end for the whole day. And that will be the past,
Understandable.
the future. I want the future. You are the
Okay.
future.
Okay,
Too young.
no, whichever. I mean, I'm open to whichever format. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, I think we're just
Later on, you're free
waiting
to
on
download
Masood's
everything.
end, and we do have people who are waiting to
But yeah,
join.
there is some lag in your voice. Could you please check your internet?
Let me just check with Masood.
Boston, I remember Boston long ago, trying to scratch my head when I went to Boston. Running here, Aga Khan Award, putting some people. Oh, yes.
So I will be inviting you next year to Germany. Let's just hope this coronavirus things
I'll try
settle
to
down and we
some
all
people
stabilize.
in Germany who are good architects who stay very near the main capital. I'll try to remember their names because the moment they come, they kidnap me to this corner or that corner. Trying to remember.
So I'm there to save you. You remember I've saved you so many times from people kidnapping you here and there and inviting
Oh,
you somewhere else, but you were supposed to visit other place. So yeah.
especially when you said you're involved with Bauhaus. I know quite a few who went to Bauhaus, studied, came to my office, interacted with me and worked. And so trying to remember when you said you put that word. So trying
Right.
to see what it was. Because when I met Benninger the other day, he said, I've also been to Bauhaus, man. Where did you go? See, what's happening, very interesting, Papal, when you say this. I was just looking at myself. After, now, though she doesn't come much across, Korea's passed away. Other than Christopher and one or two more, I'm fine. We are the few senior old fellows still practicing and trying to run. Somebody said, sir, you were the only 4 or 5 of you are still
Yes,
going
just
strong.
5 of you, sir.
I was amazed. And somebody said, when are you retiring? I said, in architecture, you can't retire. You either collapse or just away and then do it. Oh, now, in fact, I've been traveling in spite of COVID. Everybody worries. I just go to various villages and towns. Yesterday, I was in the middle of another thing. They said, no, we should start something else here. It's what, in spite of all these pressures, there are positive people coming up with energy. And they are all looking at architecture a new way. That's the dialogue I want. What is the new way you're looking at? Let us do an international run on this.
Right, definitely.
Do it.
I still
Do it in
remember the
Germany.
voice message that you had sent me in April.
My gosh.
Yeah, it had actually helped me a lot to settle and wind up a lot of things. I keep listening to it every now and then to just remind myself of what I need to do ahead.
Where was it? In NASA, somewhere we met somewhere in the north. You remember quietly we ran away from the main theme, and I never forget that day. He said,
My
oh, you
goodness.
come up. I'll never
Yes, 7
forget that.
years back.
Was it the, yes. Oh gosh. My memories click.
Yes, time. It's just time, sir. And I'm glad you couldn't make it, despite of the fact that this particular online thing is quite not your charm. I
Not
mean,
used to it. No, this
meeting
is all the
you, yeah.
This is the fourth time I'm on and offing something else. Are you joining a meeting or starting a meeting? Hare Baba, I don't question and answer. By the time I go to question and answer, something happens here. Usually,
Right.
sometimes I have one of my office young architects helping me. Today, I said, let me try on my own and see what happens.
Great.
And Maria, that way, has been really insistent, saying, nothing doing. You'll put this, you'll put this. I said, okay, great with you.
You need to
Oh,
unmute
gosh.
yourself, Maria. You're muted.
I am sorry. I was saying I tried, and Masood will be joining us. He's just getting his cup of coffee
Yeah.
to
Oh,
wake him
not
up.
fair.
And
Oh,
Yeah,
poor
because it
chap.
is it's going to be 6
Early
a.m.
yeah, that's
morning.
Yeah.
absolutely not fair.
Yeah.
Yes. And so Pepal, we of course we will start off with you, and then in speakers we start off with Jason.
Yes, sure,
No,
definitely.
what we said, you start off, then we start a dialogue off. It's much more interesting because I would also like to respond here and various people. It is not a monologue or anything, what the future is. Let it continue as long
Okay.
as it is positive. And who else is coming?
Okay.
Yeah, Masood,
So I
will be coming.
once this coming, once Pepal has done the introduction, I mean I can just add a couple of lines and get the conversation started, just and theme, and then you guys can pick it up and take it from there.
Yes, definitely. Maria, but before that, I would request you to please check your internet connection. There is a lag in your voice.
In fact, your face also
I
freezes.
am noticing that too. Surprise.
What you can do is you
Yeah,
visit speedtest.in.
surprisingly, that's happening today and now.
Ma'am, we switched off our Wi-Fi's.
Oh,
Sorry,
that is
I
Fiza.
lost you there, Paper. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I think you can just check your internet connection by visiting www.speedtest.in, and it will give a boost to your internet for the time being.
Okay.
Suitable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think Fiza is here. And Fiza, did you get that? Can you that from our
I'll put it in the
Yes,
chat
ma'am.
section. Yeah. I'll
I'm
put
trying
it in
it
the
right now.
chat section. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. And
Fiza
then
is
mute
from where?
yourself, yes. Or this is my team from the office at the back end.
Ah, say so. But
They are
because
with
suddenly I
us.
saw a name coming up and then went. I said, oh, where's this? Oh,
Yeah.
gosh.
Okay. So has there been a hit of the winter freeze coming in at your end? We've
No.
had some Arctic winds flowing in, and it's been
You're
quite
asking.
cool. I'm asking both of you. I'm sure he's must be
Okay.
through the winters, but it started snowing everywhere earlier this year. So, but at our end, yeah, I mean, it was just like autumn, the regular autumn, but it's a little cool. Let's put it that way.
Yes, there is a snow layer in the morning, but ironically today it is sunny. I'm quite happy. It is. I'm just there's a
Okay.
window just right in front of me, and I'm receiving the glare, and I really like it today. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Yesterday was very cloudy here. I was wondering what will work. What when she called and said, I said it's absolutely dark at 4 o'clock in the evening. Here cloudy. Today it's bright sun. Totally fun. And Wi-Fi is catching on. So a little hotspot, this and that. And Friday evening
Okay.
good.
Sounds good then.
Now, I was just telling people there are three, the Triple ID and the PA are all meeting today. Reality Estate is going on fun. I said, this is nice. I've told them all, you're all free to join us. But you're also
Yes,
putting
please.
it on Facebook and the other thing,
YouTube.
YouTube also. Good.
Yes, we are.
Because many
Yes,
of
we
the
are.
students
Yeah.
prefer the young architects prefer the YouTube and put it together.
Yes, yes, they do. So in fact, we are live as we speak and wait for Masood to join in. And we do have a couple of minutes actually, as per our time. So we are good on that. And yeah,
Where does
let's,
Masood stay? In which part of Boston?
I think he would be more, he would be more able to guide you on exactly where he is. My understanding of Boston is all the universities put together, and I generally take a walk. I do not follow the grids and whatever. I find my own way. So, and I do not like to drive. I would rather walk. So hence I have my own mapping system of working out the cities. So I'm the wrong person to ask exactly where he is. Yeah. But he's done tremendous work at basically from Pakistan, of course. He's done tremendous work in Pakistan, in the northern areas, in Lahore. And we had a great conference last year in October, and the second 2.0 was planned for 2020. which of course never happened. And he's one of the great conservationists, and has a very sensitized approach towards urban redevelopment and conservation and communal, entities. So, yeah, that's what Masood is.
Because when you said he's also attached to the Aga Khan Award Trust and all this, so it's
He
very
is
interesting.
not attached to the Aga Khan Awards, but he is attached to the Aga Khan Trust for Culture.
Culture.
And
Okay.
yes, and under their auspices, he's worked on major projects, be it located in Egypt, Central Asia, even Europe, and back home here as well. So yes, under that umbrella, he has conducted a lot of projects. Yeah, yeah.
That's a very wide experience. So
Yes, he does have that. He's a consultant now, and he's primarily based in Boston. And like he was sharing a couple of notes with us yesterday, how he's been working online, working on these projects which are spread all over the globe, and exactly in the format that we are being forced to conduct our practices these days. So yeah.
but you should all reach our age where you end up being the jury almost everywhere, other than no time for your own projects.
Oh yeah, he's been called on to many juries
That's the
and
main thing.
seminars, and he always does have elaborate presentations because he does go through them. He was one of our speakers in Lahore also, and like I said, in last year's conference. So, and like I said, he's a huge portfolio. So you ask him about one project, I mean, and then of course there have been publications on his project. So you ask him about one project, and that itself is a whole conduct of a seminar or something in itself. So yeah,
What's his age now, if I may ask?
I mean,
He's
I
from
think
which
he's your counterpart or something like that. He's pretty senior to us. Yeah, that kind of a thing.
That's what we request. How many of us are still actively participating after 70, 75? Except for a very few in India, hardly a dozen. Still active.
I think Jessim, you're either your speaker or something.
I know I can speak
Can
loudly.
barely hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me better, right?
Yeah, now it is better.
Easier.
Okay.
Because I and Papal are very clear with each other. Whatever he says, I'm scared of whispering something, bird coming here. I ended up with a snake last night in this place.
Really?
All running around. Gosh. It's okay, no?
Yeah,
Yeah.
little better.
Oh, gosh.
Ma'am, there are people waiting in the waiting room. Should I let them in?
What do you say, Papal? Should we, or should we wait
I
for?
think we can. Yeah.
Okay.
Let them
Okay. Yeah. And we can just say that we are waiting for Masood then.
Let them come. Have a chat.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself, and then I will just let people take over, and
I don't see Faisal's face at all. His face at all. Who's taking? Is
so the ADA is her, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Papal,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yes. So should I begin, or should we wait for Masood to join?
I think let's wait for Masood to come in. We can just announce that we are waiting for Masood to join. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can keep giving us a general idea of everything too.
Yes. So
People can hear, talk, whatever. Give us the depth of when you started, what you did, what was your objectives of this.
yeah, sure. So yeah, there have been a lot of deliberations that have taken place in the past 1.5 months or so, whereby as per the availability, our availability, me and Maria's availability, we were constantly discussing about, because it is the last webinar of the ADA series of this year, online series, and the 9th edition of the signature series of Do You Know Your City. So as ADA began with more of regional aspects or regional topics, it slowly and slowly wanted to go towards the global aspects of it. And it has achieved in the past seminars as well, with people joining from across the globe. And as we wanted to give a nice end to the ADA webinar series of this year, so we thought, after a lot of deliberation, we thought, why not we keep it a little more general and open-ended, and let the speakers try to pick up and deliberate upon as per their past experience and as per what they envision for the new decade. Because definitely none of us will know what will happen, as we are not fortune tellers, or we can't profess anything unless and until we want to do it for our own self. So we will definitely need to have some precedents to just imagine, and then try to um, have some utopian ideas to envision what kind of new decade we will witness architecturally, in terms of design, in terms of other allied disciplines of art, architecture, interiors. And I'm glad, as we speak, Masood sir has joined, and he will definitely come into the discussion soon. Yes, so we will begin with our discussion in next few minutes. Yes, hello, sir.
Hello everyone.
Namaskar, Masood Saab.
Namaskar ji, Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, Masood. Assalamu
Hi
alaikum.
Maria. Hi, Joseph. And hi, Papel. Pepper?
Thank you.
Pepper.
Yes. So yes, we were just missing you, and thank you for joining. I know it's 6 a.m. at your place, and ironically, all four of us are joining from 4 different parts of the world. Yes, we have architect Krishnarao Jessim from India. We have architect Masood Khan, who's joining us from Boston in United States. And we have Maria Aslam joining us from Pakistan, and I am joining from Germany. So, and we are all in, ironically, 4 of us are in 4 different time zones. The clock has different time for all 4 of us. And let's see how we can bring it together and make this dialogue worthwhile, as it is officially the last webinar for the ADA Signature Dialogue Series for 2020. So I'll quickly give a glimpse for the theme for our audience who have not read it before. So as me and Maria were deliberating upon this topic of creative adaptations for the new decade, we wanted to question the quest for new sustainable directions for 2021. And while we were discussing about it, we thought, as this year is winding up, we need to, and specifically this year, which has been of constant reflection of our activities over the past, we wanted the speakers to deliberate upon how do they feel the new decade will look like, what is their envision about the new decade. And definitely, as none of us have experienced and none of us can experience until we actually are into it. So having no precedence over what the future will look like, we wanted to definitely throw some light under the lens of the previous context of the architectural ventures that the veteran architects joining us have witnessed. So I will give a very quick small introduction of all the speakers who are on the panel. We have architect Krishnarao Jessim joining us from India. He is based in Bangalore. Having graduated from Madras University in 1966, he started off his own firm 50 years back with the inspiration from Ayn Rand's novel, The Fountainhead. And his firm, Jessim Fountainhead, completes 50 years this year, with his projects varying from built environment, interior design, heritage conservation. He's still trying to, as we speak, search and research about his activities in time and space. Then we have architect Masood Khan joining us from United States, having graduated from National College of Arts in Pakistan, Lahore, and having done his post-graduation in art history, history, theory and criticism from MIT, the United States. He's a veteran architect joining us from US, but he has been trained in Pakistan. He's currently a senior consultant at the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, and he has won several awards under the UNESCO Asia Pacific Honor. He has, for instance, he has won an award for excellence for Shigar Fort reuse project in 2006, And he has been widely supported for his activities by World Bank. And one of the examples I would like to share that he has authored the Master Conservation and Redevelopment Plan for the walled city of Lahore in 2017. Thank you, sir, for joining us. And finally, our third speaker, Maria Aslam. She's a graduate from Indus Valley School of Art and Architecture from Pakistan itself, and she did her master's from McGill University, Canada. She's a prolific writer and architectural historian, environmental activist, and the founder and editor of the magazine ADA. She's one of the first women architects to have started her own publication in Asia Pacific region. And she also runs her firm Arcworks, which is based in Karachi, which is an architecture firm. And currently she's the chairperson of the Pakistan Institute of Interior Designers. And she has widely represented her nation as a juror, critic, speaker, convener at a lot of international platforms. And finally, as we proceed to our speakers, I will be very quick and brief about myself. I am Papul Suneja, trained as an architect from India, and I have recently graduated in design research from Bauhaus-Dessau Foundation, Germany. And I'm currently working on my PhD proposal for the co-production and reformation by Radical Architecture magazines of the 50s. So I would straight away give the mic to Professor Krishna Rao Jaisim to just reflect and deliberate upon the theme as per his vision.
Thank you very much. And namaskar to all of you. It's indeed a great honor to present on this international spectrum. One may have given 2,000 talks and lectures, but every time one comes across the screen and the technology that faces one, you're always looking at it and saying, where do I press? Where do I move? How do I move? You very aptly did look at this year, 2020, in a very fascinating way. Since you opened the subject, when I saw the small items that you said, this is what we should address. When I was inaugurating another college for the convocation on the movement things, I saw a lot of students still wanting to join architecture, coming to move. I said, I will not just like when she asked, will you make a presentation? I said, no presentation, I am the presentation, because 50 to 60 years of architecture can't be presented across, but I can share the explorations. I'm very happy when we get senior architects like Masood are all coming into this place. 2020 to me has been an adventure. It has been a fascinating time because for the first time in my life, I'm not under pressure. The client doesn't come to me, the contractor doesn't come to me. If they want, they have to drive down to my senior village here, which is very strict in allowing people to come in. They must clean themselves up. Then they must come talk to me right behind me. You see the little cottage space I have. It's only when you suddenly say, okay, we will come and see a site or something, which is very tight and pushed. So nobody else comes except the client and a few odd people, and you drive with these masked and unmasked and then go there and see. But that's a very rare happening. I love going around. But I found this literally this 1 year, because the last I flew back was exactly at this point. I was in China, Wuhan last year, this time. Somebody said, you brought the whole thing back to India from there. I said, I was just put in a flight. They didn't tell me one word and simply said, please go, sir. Then I flew straight from there to Hong Kong to then direct back to India. No questions asked, nobody asked. It's only when I landed and came home to my cottage, when I said I just returned. And 1 week later, they announced saying we were having the thing. But they managed to show me beautifully. I really enjoyed the trip. That shows what's the journey like. That journey, to me, in this last 10 months, from February onwards, is the last time I ever went out of this place beyond Bangalore. That was the last flight. Again, they put me and pushed me back and said, you go stay in Bangalore. But I find this to be one of my fascinating journeys. For the first time, I'm not traveling, only running around the city maximum or running around my cottage, and my little 30 acres of land of senior people who walk around with me in the village or something, going around meeting. And everyone talks about various aspects of this situation. And we're already there. I found a lot of, yes, there will be idle talk, but imagination has grown. Technology has grown. And for the first time, art has been respected by technology. Just build 100 stories here, return it here, turn it here. Now they have the relaxation time, and the sense of art moved along with technology to say there is a fusion possible. It says internet, it's okay? Okay, fine. Then the other thing that happened during this period of time that happening here is
Can't hear him.
Yeah, I think
Sorry.
so. You need to unmute yourself.
done.
Yes, perfect.
What happens? This is what I talk about technology. However much I conquer it, it defies me completely. It totally defies me. You suddenly go off, you come back. Sometimes I have the young ones sitting around me, clicking at buttons, clicking at things. I'm very happy that this happened, because finally we respect something. We respect architecture. The architectural profession as such has finally emerged as a great fusion of art and technology. It has taken a lot of people to understand what architecture is. This period of time to me has opened up a lot. Is another aspect that has also opened up to me is the environment. I spend much more time in the environment rather than the built spaces. I find I have very interesting environment spaces. Like even here, they said we are going to build 200 feet wide corridors connecting south of India to north of India. To go where is my question to them. Where are you going from one city to the other? For what reason? Where is the journey? Now I'm trying to get into these people to say the journey is more important than actually going to the other place. That is my objective that's happening, to a point where I have now slowly moved to projects which are in the 3rd and 4th level villages. And I find villages are much more knowledgeable than this urban people. The urban people are full of IT. They only want it tomorrow morning, day after tomorrow, close, inaugurate. Whereas the villager sits with me, has a dinner with me, has breakfast with me, comes up with this mission. And if you properly guide him through, he fuses himself with you, with this culture and this ethos, to design something which we never imagined. If we don't fuse him properly, he comes to the city, looks at some building, some project, and says, can you duplicate it for me? He uses you as a copy-paste machine because he doesn't know anything better. You are the urban factor. This has opened to me in the last few years, and especially this year in a very big way, to a point now when I go outside on the road to the village, they'll come. They said, come. I said, no, I'd like to travel on a bullock cart or a tractor and see your farmland. No, he comes. I was shocked to see he has got a far bigger Mercedes than I could imagine. He tries to come. I said, no, I still want the bullock cart to take me. The journey then happens. I said, your bullock cart can take me on the fields. The great car can't take you. The great helicopter can't land there. He said, I agree. Then we go into the field, then search for the land, search for the future that he's looking at. And when you talk to him and fuse him and say, this is how neighborhood and ethos of culture happened over the ages. We suddenly shifted from somewhere and brought it here, which need not happen. Which, if we evolve and build with the process, understanding the language, because architecture is one subject which has many languages, but has very definitive languages, which is very clear in its grammar thing, but it has many, many languages. This language in the village becomes very evident. And then you start guiding, and he starts respecting you. Something fusion happens, and you start respecting it. This journey is what I'm looking at for the youngsters, because now I spend much more time collecting the youngsters and say, you want to do a thesis, you want to do a study, you want to do this. Don't sit in the urban city. Come, go to the village, go inside, go deep inside. Come and show me what you can do better for these people. Or trying to do, or go to the other extent, go to the moon or Mars and build a village out there, build a city out there. That's another journey. But within the earth, I said, that is where the area of conquest is, the movement is. Technology allows us to do it. Art allows us to appreciate it. And the local ethos and culture at this moment of emerging is a very big challenge. I would rather have to continue with the dialogue with especially Masood and Khan and then continue, because as I go into this environment issue, like, see, where I'm sitting now, this was taken over as a residence village for senior citizens. At that time, it was only rocky. The government was very thrilled to hand it over to us, thinking these old fellows don't know what to do with it. But within 15 years, we converted into absolutely green space, made a lake, made things. Now they're envious and saying, this is like real estate. No, we don't want a real estate. We did here, as you are aware of it, nobody owns anything. We share the whole place. We enjoy the space so that we have a right to live in one place. That is our share. We have a right to do whatever we want inside the space. But outside, we do it together. The clubhouse, the factors, all this happens. And this activity I find is another new emerging trend that's happening. The other trend that I find the youngsters are happening, which a lot of young architects come, these big projects, big city things that India is growing, most of the places are going. How does an architect lead into these spaces? Because otherwise, an architect is an urban designer, an urban planner, and fusing and saying, how does the environment build into these spaces, the neighborhood spaces, the large villages, the connections? These factors are very important without losing the identity and the culture. Just jumping from A to B is not the answer. Can the journey be much more adventurous? Can the journey be much more meaningful? And I feel the youngsters of today are offering me large possibilities because they have tremendous potential. People say, oh, what is architecture in the future? I believe architecture in the future is unbelievable. As long as they don't copy and imitate, as long as they find their own expressions, I find this future is going to be somewhere beyond our dreams. I very, very firmly believe in it. I'll come back to you as a discussion ethos as things go. Let me see the other thinking process that's happening here.
Yes, Masood sir, what do you have to say about it?
Well, I must warn you that I've come a little over prepared this morning. For one, I told Maria I'm going to show a few slides and maybe use them as a way of thinking through my thoughts. But then I ended up putting 3 projects in a row, and so I'm going to do a little, you might call it a preface, and then show my 3 projects, and then we can go on from there. I am very, it's a very interesting little blurb you have there to describe this workshop and the seminar. And that set me off thinking about what was happening to the profession today. There's this lady called Françoise Chouet. You might have heard of her. She's a French intellectual who wrote a PhD thesis somewhere in the mid-60s. And, and she's very senior, probably retired now. But she put forward this theory you must have heard about, that that at a certain point in time in history, the old rituals and religions and myths kind of that were controlling the production of built space or built form, they released this activity from being controlled by ritual and religion and other things than the actual, the business of producing architecture. So architecture after that, this happened in the mid 15th century, and she basically is writing his thesis about this Renaissance architect called Alberti, and she who also wrote a treatise called the 10 Rules of Architecture. And After that, she says that is that architecture became an autonomous professional discipline with its own rules, with its own modus operandi, and it remained like that for the next 5 centuries. You know, and we were all born into this profession. When we were younger, we trained in that profession, and we went through the rituals of learning to be architects in the manner that that used to happen at that time. There was you were part of an internship. You became an intern. You worked in an atelier or an architect's office. There were ways of doing things you learned, the ways of producing information, ways of conceiving things, and so on. And then you went on your own. But what is happening today is that a new power, which is governed by forces, other forces, are trying to recapture this autonomous profession and bring it into its own hold. Um, it's trying to control the art of space creation and building and force it according to its own rules and models. Um, and it is an offshoot of the modern movement, partly. But is it a legacy of that movement or something new, something which is much more chaotic um, than that? And it's an ideological language of rationalism, technology, semiotic, symbolic content, yet losing out to a loss of the use justification. You know, what is this thing used for? Um, so the functional order that had form following it, you know, form follows function, it is tending to escape that very form, and then it is branching off on its own. And what is this? It is a new world of technology-driven construction that arose on the magic of the market, you know, all these wonderful tall buildings in which you do business. And so there's this world of globalizing uh, forces, including international commerce, and all those forms and all those uses have come to some kind of a decline, if not an end already. And I think I'm really talking about what Jaisonji said so eloquently and simply. But I think we're seeing the beginning of that form follows function line of thought, and then the you know the elaboration of that through modernism and its critique, of course, postmodern critique of modernism, and so on. So against this background, the emergence of the independent yet related discipline of architectural and urban conservation, historic preservation as it's known here in the US, is an important concurrence. You know, it's going through the same sort of formulative changes and growth and changes and so on. Um, and So it's a part of the modern movement, actually, with its postmodern critique. And it has the same forward-looking force. It began with the same forward-looking force, with the same sense of time and space that today gives us an apposite fascination with a concern for the meaning that we create in our built environment and in our lives and the life of those who will come after us. So you could say that this concern with what we leave behind and what the past has left us, you know, this immense captivation with posterity and its meaning in this life and the life of those who will follow us, is therefore an obverse of the same coin as the relentless forward movement of knowledge, creation, and technology in our day-to-day affairs. As a practitioner of architecture and urban conservation, I've been preoccupied with these thoughts for several decades. So I don't know how the three projects I'm going to present now are actually going to illustrate all that I've said, except that they all contain a certain, um, uh, basic way of doing modern architecture, which is inductive and experience related to begin with. And then it goes through a conceptual formulating process, and technology also has a lot to do with it. So I'll get on with it. And so if you bear with me, you turn this on, and Maria, you'll have to turn on the screen sharing thing.
Share screen.
Yeah, we've already given you access.
Okay, great, wonderful. So now this first project is called the Kapalu Palace Residence. It was done between 2005 and 2011. It was
So
an
we are not able
old,
to see your
We
screen.
can't see your screen.
oh, why can't you see my screen?
You can see your face.
Okay, hang on. Share screen.
Yes. Yes.
Now I have to go to,
Yes.
Got it.
okay, just a second. I have to turn this thing on. So this palace is an old, can you see it now? Can you see the
Yes.
So it's an old rundown 150-year-old wooden, mud and wood palace that was built by one of the Rajas who were, feudatories of the Raja of Kashmir up in the north. And it was the second of our landmark restoration projects in those areas. Both of them had been converted with, there were several, of course, but these two were converted to a new use, and they became five-star hotels, boutique hotel kind of hotels. But this is the first project in Pakistan, at least, which this was done. These drawings I'm showing you were done in 2006, where modern technology was used to document. This is using a total station and the use of photogrammetric renditions on with total station. And very, very meticulous precise documentation of each and every stone, each and every crack, and so on, to a accuracy of plus minus 3 millimeters. This is the result of those beginnings. I'm going to show you very quickly. And it was done as an ordinary project in many, many ways. So in the kind of conservation that we've done, we are basically going through an architectural project. And it involves the same kind of moves that architects do when they are creating something, except that you are working in somebody else's space, and you have to make sense of the space that's been left to you, and to transform it, and to make it undergo this process of transformation so that it acquires new value. And this giving of value to something that you've received from the past is the major part of conservation. And this is the sort of thing that results out of that. The next project I'm going to go through very quickly is the walled city of Lahore, which has been the subject of urban conservation, attempts at urban conservation from mid from the late 70s and early 80s onwards. This is the first time that very hands-on approach, hands-on both in terms of working in the field on specific physical objects and working institutionally and creating new institutions and new legislation and new forms of governing that went into this project. So I don't know whether you can see my arrow, but this is basically Lahore. And where this red circle is moving is where the walled city of Lahore is. And Lahore is now something like over 12 million people. And it's a very large city, even by subcontinental standards. And it has grown in a rather open-ended sort of way to the south and from the river Ravi, where the walled city is located. This is what the walled city looks like from the air. That is the great mosque that Aurangzeb Alamgir built in the early 18th, in the late 17th century. And this is the plan of the walled city showing the architectural heritage. The big, dark blob on the left hand, top left hand, is the historic Lahore Fort and the Badshahi Masjid and the intermediary space that was created when the mosque was built. It also contains the Samads of Ranjit Singh and his sons. And the rest, the tiny spaces, are individual pieces of property that the walled city is studded with, which are still of architectural value. So the Lahore walled city has not undergone the kind of transmogrification of architectural heritage as Shahjahanabad has experienced. It still has quite a lot of the past in it. One can't say that we can save it completely, but this project I'm describing you is an ongoing attempt at doing so. The thin blue lines are traditional bazaars of the walled city. And in between the gray spaces, you might see some, I don't know how good the transmission is, the very fine lanes and gullies and kuchas of the walled city. But the darker blue lines are the traditional bazaars. What happened to the walled city is this, which is the coming in of new commerce that is of regional and interregional and even national space in terms of the catchment, economic catchment space, and the scale of business that's being undertaken there. And of course, the walled city is surrounded by this kind of business. But what's happening is this phenomenon is eating away. It has absolutely no proportion in terms of the muscle it wields with the very delicate fabric of the walled city, and the way and the kind of it's a historical urbanism that its logic contains a kind of commerce at small scale and of craft economy based commerce that went away a long time ago. And you have this gigantic this demon which has come and settled on it and is eating it away from the inside. So this is one of the huge problems that one got to deal with this project, and we're still dealing with it. And this is a picture of the Lahore Fort in that corner. And now to the inductive part of the exercise, the documentation. The entire city is surveyed using modern technology. And projects are undertaken. The documentation includes establishing typologies of facades, even when you can't get into the depths of individual properties all the time. And mapping a socioeconomic baseline and establishing, identifying individual range of problems that exist at various scale and in various dimensions in this social, physical social space where human beings live and work. Developing an integrated infrastructure development program, which means integrating 6 different utilities: electricity, water supply, sewerage, rainwater disposal, gas, telecom. And then creating a phasing of that to be done one by one. And so we've already completed one part of the first phase of this development, which happened in this area where the circle appears. And here it is shown in a more or less abstract way. Now, all this, now this project was called the Shahi Guzargah project, and included a number of things that are known now to be essential in urban conservation. Community mobilization, baseline, establishing baseline information, infrastructure design and improvement, street facade documentation, rehabilitation, removal of encroachments, street surface improvements, provision for fire hydrants, etc., etc. Mohalla demonstration projects were carried out in 2 residential neighborhoods to establish the design standards and operational know-how for infrastructure distribution.